What's up? Welcome back to the tech metal epidemic.
It's been 84 years.
And it feels like it. This part of the channel we use to review the latest tech, ladies and gents, from wired headphones, Bluetooth earphones, to microphones, and much more. For this review, we are checking out the Anker Soundcore Space Q45 Bluetooth headphones.
It's got a lot of words on the box, so you know what that means? We need to talk about it. That's what that means.
Let's do that. So, a little bit of tech info about the unit itself. These are the Q45s, the upgrade to the Q35s.
Oh, 10.
Now with
10 upgrade.
We're jumping 10s. Now with adaptive noise cancelling instead of ANC presets, claiming up to 98% noise reduction, Duncan. Like their predecessor, they support LDAC for high-res audio and multi-device pairing. They're also compatible with the Anker Soundcore app, which offers graphic EQ and presets, among other handy features. The Q45s come with Bluetooth 5.3 for strong connectivity, 40mm drivers with a pioneering double-layer diaphragm, sexy, made from silk and ceramic materials to produce sound with intense bass and crisp treble. The headphones are USB-C charging, giving up to 65 hours of playtime, or that's without ANC, or 50 hours with ANC. That's the noise cancelling. And claim 5 minutes of charging will give 4 hours of playtime. The Q45s also include 2 microphones for enhanced AI calls, which identifies and picks up your voice precisely from your surroundings, no matter where you are. Let's try them at the next death metal concert, Duncan, see what happens. Price-wise, Q45s come in around just under £100, which also includes a carry case.
Oh, you're going to show it?
I am. This is the carry case.
That's a carry case, Dave.
So Duncan and I have spent a little bit of time with these heads.
It's a nice way of saying Duncan had them for weeks and didn't use them. And then I forced him to open them, and then I got them back for 2 weeks.
Just to get a wee feel, the overall feel and sound of them. But as usual, before we get into the sound of the headphones, let's get into what else comes with the packaging, what's in the box, all that sort of stuff.
What's in the bag, Steve?
In the box, we've got the usual, the box, obviously, user guides, warranty cards. Also comes with a USB-C charging cable and a 3.5mm aux cable. This is obviously the case, as I mentioned, the Soundcore hard case.
Yeah, you can punch that, Dave. Punch it.
Punch it.
It's a punch.
So that is your case, which is quite handy. I like it. I like when headphones come with a wee case. Inside the case, though, we have the Q45 headphones. These ones here
fold up like a Russian gymnast.
Yep. For to go in the box.
You have to make those noises as well when you're folding up.
Like a fucking transformer. So let's talk about the design, the kind of build quality of the headphones. So these are supposedly a kind of ergonomic build with comfort enhancing details. Primarily made out of plastic.
Comfort enhancing details, when you put them on, it goes, shh, it's going to be alright.
They look okay. I think the first thing I noticed when I picked them up and kind of had a little kind of feel of them, they feel a little bit hollow. Like they are kind of a little bit kind of plasticky. I think compared to like other headphones that I've tried, they aren't scratch resistant either. So like if you're not using the case, just obviously be careful with them.
You scratched them already? Is that what?
I don't think so. I think they're okay so far.
Let's say they were fine when I left my house.
The ear cups are pleather. so not leather, pleather.
Yep.
They are adjustable, as you can see. You can twist them about, and the headband is also adjustable. The ear cups come with all the buttons. So along the bottom, you've got your usual stuff: your power, volume. You can switch on the noise cancelling. You can play. You can pause. The volume buttons also act as a skip button as well if you want to skip tracks as well. Headband had actually quite a nice amount of space in it.
Yes.
Seemed to accommodate my massive noggin, so I quite liked it. I didn't have to actually adjust them at all. Didn't feel tight or anything like that. Which kind of brings us on to weight and comfort. So around 280 grams. I think it's 281. I think it's stated online. So these are slightly heavier than the last couple we've done. 30 grams heavier than the Sony XM5s, and 100 grams heavier than the Marshall Major 4s, which we talked about on the last review. So how did you get on wearing these for long periods? What did you feel sticking these on for, more than an hour type thing?
So, the first listening session that I did with them, I had them on for approximately 4.5 hours, and
Oof.
I was fine with them. Once again, a lot of the headphones I base on are compared to the Apple Max ones, which is what I predominantly use, which are a heavy set of headphones.
Yeah.
They're all a lot of metal material and stuff. So I actually found them surprisingly comfortable to wear. As always with me, the concern is around the cup area because I've got ear tunnels, so my earlobes stretched out. But I found there was actually a huge amount of space, so I felt like the ear coverage was kind of great. Ears got a wee bit sweaty after a while, but that kind of comes with the territory with most over-ear headphones. But yeah, I know you were saying that they're heavier than the previous set we did, but not to a stage where I was aware of it. They were surprisingly comfortable on for the price margin. Yeah, very comfortable.
Yeah, I'd agree. The cushioning on the headband is pretty good actually. I didn't have any hot spots or it started to get kind of sore on the top of your head. I wore these for 2-3 hours. Didn't have any kind of major sweating or anything like that with them. So as long as you're not pounding the treadmill or swimming,
I was not with those ones.
They don't have water resistance. These ones, so obviously don't swim with them on or
don't
in the shower.
Swim with your headphones.
But comfort-wise, these were pretty good. Yeah, I didn't have any major issues at all. Felt loose enough on my ears that it didn't become sore over time. So in that side of things, I was quite happy with these. So we, as always, checked out a classic album to go with the review of these headphones.
Don't like the way you said classic there, as if it's stated as a classic. I'll let you know that Apple Music is currently running down its top 100 best albums of all time, and this album came in at number 74 on their list. So suck it. None of the other albums that we've discussed in the classic category as our picks made that 100 list. So suck it. Right?
So we tend to pick something that we've listened to loads and loads and loads.
I've listened to it loads and loads.
However,
and loads.
This album did not kind of fit into that category. The album we chose for this review was The Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails.
1994 never sounded so desperate.
So Duncan, you are responsible for this pick.
I felt if we were gonna put these young whippersnapper bastards through their steps, we might as well pick something with a lot of depth, a lot of layers, and a lot of things that I can easily shove on and say, oh yeah, I can hear that really obscure breathy tone in the background of Closer, for example, that I know for a fact certain headphones do not use. I've been, this album's been with me a long time, that I know when I've got a good pair of headphones on and when I've got an exceptional pair of headphones on, because I can hear little nuances in the production that Trent shoved in there that you just don't hear elsewhere. So that was my theory behind it, Dave, and also because you will consistently refuse and further refuse to acknowledge the greatness of 9 Inch Nails, which is just, at this point, it's just spite. So
Oh, this was the chance. This was the opportunity, Duncan. So, like, what did you make? What did you make of the sound of these headphones, and also the noise cancelling as well? What did you make of those?
So once again, comparing them as a direct comparison to my headphones of choice, the Apple Max. Other headphones are available. Obviously, we're talking about a set right now. The noise cancelling on the Apple Max is really fucking good, like really good.
Right.
And it's like the gold standard for me on pretty much everything when it comes to noise cancelling. You press a button and you hear nothing from the world.
Right.
These come pretty close. I was actually quite surprised. My test for it was actually having the TV on and putting the volume up on the TV to the point that I could actually hear something without music playing on my headphones. And I was quite far up the TV range before I could start to actually make out like audible noises, not just muffled sounds. So I found that aspect surprisingly good about them.
Yeah.
I like noise. I only really like noise cancelling when I'm commuting.
Right.
But for the most part, when I'm in the house, I'm fine with my over-the-ear headphones. But like I live in a 3-story house. If my family shouts at me "fire," I want to be able to hear it, and they'll be burned to death.
Like
so there's a time and a place.
At your desk.
It's like
that smell.
Flames, fucking flames are behind me, and I'm listening to fucking March of the Pigs. It's like this track is burning up. Always a great story about a friend of mine whose younger brother burned down his kitchen, like burned down the kitchen, and unironically was listening to the track "What It Is to Burn" by Finch in his headphones while it was playing. True story, not made up. So yeah, like I found the noise cancelling really, really good on them. In terms of the depth of sound on this one, once again, surprised by this. I unceremoniously checked the price range of these ones in advance because I was like, let's find out what's going on. Because I was shocked when you told me how much the Marshalls retail for, because I just assumed with them being branded there would be a lot more. So I checked, so I knew what I was going into. I also know how much my existing headphones cost, so there's always going to be that, like a fifth of the price. Let's see if these held up really well. So I don't think they give me the same range that my Apple ones have, like specifically in some of the nuanced textures in these tracks that I know inside out. But I didn't use the app. So once again, I just stuck to whatever the preset was is what I had on here. I purely used volume control. Even turning this up to the top of the volume that would go along the bottom, I didn't feel it was like crackling or distorting in some ways that I feel the Marshalls did. When I'd like cranked it right up, so I like that aspect about it. I had a really good dispersal between the high end, the middle, and the bass. So all that sounded really, really good as well. And like I say, out with a couple of nuances on certain tracks where there are very subtle kind of breathy tones or something that are sampled in the background, which didn't maybe have the same brightness or prominence. Across the overall sound, the album sounded great in it. Biases be damned. And yeah, like it was the one. Interestingly enough, I went on a weird journey of musical choices after this to put it through its paces. That this wasn't the heaviest album I listened to, but certainly in terms of dynamics, it's probably the most extreme that I listened to. Like when you listen to a track like Closer is a very quiet track until the very end when you get hit with that huge fucking wall of distortion that comes out of nowhere. And it's a great way to see how are these headphones going to handle this? Are they going to crackle or whatnot? So I actually thought they held up. Keep shaming it because of the cost, surprisingly well for the cost.
Okay.
How about you, Dave? You hater.
So, well, obviously, I hadn't listened to this album for about 20 years, which was, I'll admit I am not a massive Nine Inch Nails fan.
How did you lie to me? You said to me, what about the T-shirt you own?
Or an industrial music fan for that matter. And my experience in general was never really that positive when listening to Nine Inch Nails. I'll admit I don't mind some of the later day singles. Year Zero had some cool tracks, but as for the Downward Spiral, the Fragile, Pretty Hate Machine, not quite my tempo.
Oh my god! There's just people switching off this video in droves.
It was a good opportunity though for me to see if my feelings had changed on Nine Inch Nails, and also how the Q45s handled something like this with a heavy industrial kind of feel to it. Weirdly, although I have criticisms about these headphones, which I'll come to, for an industrial album, the Q45s actually handled certain parts of this album fairly well. And I initially thought we could be on a bit of a winner here with these. On the kind of positive side of things, industrial music generally has quite a heavy bottom end. It's quite dense. There's a lot going on electronically. There's, multiple layers building up of instrumentation. And in terms of the bass, these headphones are quite bass heavy, which I feel works in some scenarios. And this album actually pairs not too badly on that front.
That's why the breathy tones, I think, vanish in it when you're listening to it. Some of those sample sounds disappear because I'm mudded out by it.
Yeah, I felt like there was moments where I felt like the bass actually sounded really good. The bass lick on Piggy, for example, sounds really deep, really kind of punchy, and I could still pick out everything. Even though it was a little bit boomy from those kind of bass frequencies, you could still kind of hear all the instrumentation. Same with Heresy, it's got a big kind of industrial kind of drum groove that kicks in at the start. Sounded huge. So on the kind of bass front, most of this sounded pretty good. Not perfect. As I said, it can be a little bit overpowering, but not too bad. On the kind of mid-range, I didn't love it. I felt like it was a little bit dented, in my opinion. Not totally removed, but certain parts felt a little bit scooped out in the mids on these. I think it was more noticeable because I listened to the album on these headphones, and then I listened to another set of headphones, and then I listened to another set of headphones, and I was like, okay, there's a big difference between the different sets. So you could hear it when you compared it to other headphones. There were parts like on Ruiner that definitely felt less vibrant through these headphones than other sets of headphones. With the high frequencies, I kind of felt like they were overcompensating for the lack of mids on the headphones. And that the high frequencies were kind of rough for me. Some albums I found a little bit kind of difficult to get through just because it felt a little bit too hissy. Like the top end was kind of forced a little bit. Not every album was that bad. Strangely, it seemed to depend on style. And yeah, I played around with the app, and the app allows you to kind of tweak certain things.
All right, cool.
But it was a lot of messing around to try and find a decent EQ. Sometimes
I've said to you this before, this is where the app thing that's coming with headphones kind of bugs me. I kind of want to just be able to plug a set of headphones in and not have to faff in with something to get a sound that feels balanced, and then be given the option to boost my bass, boost my middle, like that. You kind of want a defined, well-rounded sound from the off.
Yeah. I tried like the rock EQ, but it felt very kind of trebly. So I stuck with. I felt that the best overall one was the Soundcore Signature EQ, which was like a kind of well-rounded kind of EQ. And on the Downward Spiral, it was absolutely fine. It was passable because I think because there's so much going on, it didn't instantly kind of stick out. But then certain parts like hi-hats and things, or like synths that were kind of a bit more higher pitched were quite harsh at times. Electronics on The Becoming, for example, I found were quite sharp. But frequencies aside, my biggest issue with these headphones,
Trent Reznor,
was
I knew it was coming up, you son of a bitch,
was I found them very artificial sounding. Like there's certain headphones you put on and they sound really natural, right? Really pleasing on the ear. The balance, the tones feel warm and smooth. Nothing feels too harsh. These felt really like modified. Like it feels like they've tried to compete with bigger name brands by like processing the sound to try and mimic those like more expensive headphones. And it just was a little bit too severe for me. I didn't love the listening experience with these headphones. It was kind of like listening to something with an Instagram filter on it.
Yeah.
Which is not what I like. I think we've been kind of spoiled with some of the headphones we've reviewed in the past, which are incredible sounding. And it just felt like compared to those headphones, it wasn't really there for me. As for the Downward Spiral, as an album, I didn't hate it. Actually, I kind of dug it.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Fucking, like, we're going to get you there. We're going to get you there to number 74 on your all-time greatest hits. Going to get you to Minneapolis.
I think at this point in my life, I feel like I can kind of appreciate something like this a lot more, especially the way it's been kind of layered and constructed. There's so many things going on in this album that I'd 100% never picked up on all those years ago. I couldn't get into this at all before, but I managed to listen to this album twice right through without wanting to switch it off. And I think I used to prefer the 9 Inch Nails sound that was slightly more hooky, because that's always been my preference when it comes to industrial music. It's a little bit more accessible for me. And I don't remember the Downward Spiral being that kind of hook laden, but
it's full of it.
Yeah, on the listens I gave to this, I was like, wait a minute, there's actually a ton of hooks on this. They're maybe just a little bit more experimental than the stuff he started to do 10 years after this. But actually, after hearing it a couple of times, I can totally understand why it is regarded as a classic. When I was like, this came out fucking 30 years ago.
That's the thing that blows my mind.
What?
You listen to it now and the production techniques. Is the stuff he's doing is decades ahead of where we are.
It does not sound like an album that was made 30 years ago. No. That is for sure. But also, the other thing I found quite funny was when I was listening to it, you can hear so many new bands and where they've pulled their influences from, which I didn't realise how much those bands have pulled from 9 Inch Nails, because I've not went back to this.
9 Inch Nails all the time in our reviews.
I haven't gone back to it for a long time, but when I hear it now, I'm like, oh my god, that sounds like this band, and that sounds like this, and the Black Queen, and there was so many things. I was like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I gave it 2 listens, and I actually quite liked it. There was nothing here that I found difficult to listen to.
See how you get on with another couple of listens and maybe a different video. In terms of other albums, I went away. I kept I've been on a this is where I start losing listeners. I've been on a bit of a Bjork kick recently. A big Bjork fan, that should surprise no one. I liked weird music in the 90s, and she was a bit as weird as it got in the 90s. So I checked out, coming right off the Downward Spiral, mid-90s Bjork is fucking nuts. So I checked out Post's her second album. It's probably most known for, it was the one that was the hit for our debut album, wasn't, but it has Army of Me on it, which is one of the big hits, but also has It's Oh So Quiet, which was if you're our age, it was on top of the pops and huge, and everyone just assumed that's what she sounded like until you listen to the album and realize that's fuck all what she sounds like. This is you were talking about certain things. This is the less than the Downward Spiral, but this is where it struggled for me on the headphones.
Right.
I think it's because on this one there is, as much as there is going on in the Downward Spiral, and there is a lot, this one stylistically jumps from track to track. So one track you're getting kind of big brass band, kind of swinging tempos, and then the next song is just pure electronica, and then the next song is kind of indie Icelandic pop, and then the next track after that is almost kind of weird spoken word, and those ones I found myself having to do adjustments in volume where this is too quiet, you know what I mean, and not on the track It's Also Quiet we're supposed to be. A track like You've Been Flirting Again, I had to really turn it, and Isabel, which comes after, which is a very soft song, really turn those up after listening to a track like Enjoy, for example, or Hyper Ballad, which just seemed to sit okay in the mix through. So I found myself not really finding a good balance at all with that. So then I continued my journey on, Dave, because I will have a want to do that, because I am of that kind of persuasion. I checked out the Lofi album because our buddy Ross recommended it, and I'm still spinning it to death. It was okay. So it actually, because that doesn't have a huge amount of dynamics, it sits fairly in the pocket. It's not too bass heavy, it's not too high heavy. It kind of, it's mostly string instrumentation, piano and vocals, a little bit of guitar. It sounded really quite nice overall. And then the last album I checked in is the brand new Justice album, Hyperdrama, because I fancied something with a little bit of more of a dance thing on it. The bass sounds amazing on them, like, because it's all bass.
Yeah.
But like, well, once again, it kind of felt a little bit lifeless. So weirdly, my best listening experience of all the albums is Lofi, followed up by the Downward Spiral.
Yeah.
And everything else kind of not as good as the direct comparison for me was the Marshall ones from the time before. And one day we'll do the Apple headphones. We'll have to cover that.
Yeah.
I'll give you a shot of them. You can check them out and see what you think. But what about you? Where did the journey take you?
Well,
9 Inch Nails, Duncan. It's where it took me. That entire back catalogue.
When it comes to metal albums, these headphones were not the ones. They as I said, the bass is very exaggerated on these headphones, and I feel like it was far too much for metal. It did work on some genres, which I'll get onto, but most metal albums I found the bass was just overpowering. I've been on a bit of a Hatebreed kick.
Nice.
I had on Perseverance by Hatebreed, and it sounded awful. I just like I love that album. Like, it's not my favorite Hatebreed album, but it's got a great production to it. It sounded so bad, like so bad. There's just so much bass that like it overpowers everything. It's so boomy, like and then it's got this like really like hissy kind of cymbals over the top. Absolutely no mid-range at all. Same with the new Job for a Cowboy album. You can hear all the progressive death metal bass lines, but the detail and the guitars is really lost. The drums are audible, but again, just lacking a bit of clarity. But I jumped to Twin Flames by Gallo. I was like, let's try this kind of post-punk electro vibe, and that sounded fine. Like, I had a frequency range and instrumentation that totally worked with the headphones. Again, kind of stays at a set level all the way through. I also had to listen to the new Childish Gambino album, Ata Vista. The bass is very punchy on that release, and it sounds great through the headphones. But again, it's a very kind of electronic, synthesized type album. The production is very clean, very modern, so it sounded okay. And same with, I'm going to apologise to the metal community for this one, but we just got the new Scene Queen album in for review.
Oh, excellent.
So I was like, I haven't listened to the album, but I was like, I'll check out the singles. I'll see what the singles sound like before
Her
we make a
stuff is
decision.
quite like heavy, bassy, screamy, boomy.
And like stylistically, these headphones kind of accommodate that, like kind of pop, kind of. I think she classes it as bimbo core or something like that.
That's exactly what she classes it as. In the
but
fact
it's
that
very
you knew that off the top of your head, Dave. Oh, what we're doing here.
It's very produced. Like, it's got a real kind of modern studio production to it, and it seemed to handle that okay. I actually didn't mind the singles from that, to be honest. Sorry.
I can't wait to hear the album.
And I kind of came to the conclusion that for like pop, R&B, dance, and certain, like the Downward Spiral sounded fine as well. It actually was okay. It was good. Not mind-blowing, but passable. I think the issues came where you start to move into other genres where the instrumentation is a bit more aggressive or a bit more distorted, and that the overpowering bass and the lack of mid-range just kind of pulls the life out of what you're listening to. Also, when you, as I said, when you listen to these headphones and then you jump over to another set of headphones that are maybe
I didn't do that. So I like listened to them for the night and then didn't listen to anything else after it, so I didn't have any direct comparison.
It felt like a huge difference between these and something else. You know, it's very kind of artificial sounding compared to other headphones that I was listening to. What I would say is, on the noise cancelling front, you mentioned earlier, pretty awesome, to be honest. Like, if noise cancelling is a big part of why you're buying new headphones, and these are like very, very good in that department. I used them at my desk while I was working, and usually you can, like, I can hear my keyboard clicking and stuff. I could barely hear that coming through. The app has like a few options for noise cancelling. I think you've got like normal, you've got noise cancelling, and then you've got transparent mode, I think it is, which kind of lets through certain background noise, so you could hear like traffic and stuff if you were out walking about or whatever. But noise cancelling, very effective. It's, as I said, it's supposed to be up to 98%. which I don't think I've ever seen advertised by another set of headphones, to be honest. But very good, I would say, on that side of things. Yeah, I didn't have any issues with that. Phone calls also very good. Like if you're going to be using headphones to make calls, the microphone system is very clear. And it does reject a lot of background noise when you're on the phone, so the voice kind of comes through a bit clearer. If you're thinking about using these in like an office type environment, then it's helpful. It'll remove all those kind of like the background noise and, you know, keyboard clicks and all that sort of stuff. That was good. Bluetooth was fantastic as well. Never had an issue at all. There was no disconnection. Or I had these on in the house and I was walking around from room to room. I left my phone in my office and just kind of walked around with them on. There was not one point where they disconnected, so no issues there. And like I never listened to them for 65 hours, but the battery on this was pretty awesome. I've used these on and off like for a good wee while, and I never charged them once. Like they were still, every time I put them on, it said battery high. So I was just like, all right, cool. No need to charge these then. So on the battery front, no issues with that at all. I suppose it now comes down to what would you rate these headphones? What are you thinking score-wise for the Q45s?
So here's where I should have done my research on what I scored the Marshalls. Can't remember what I scored the Marshalls.
I have no idea.
So they're about 100 quid.
Yep.
Right, and if you're not into metal, like into metal, listening to the Metal Epidemic podcast or the Metal Epidemic review videos or the techie review videos, if you're not into the music that predominantly is the style that we listen to, you're into pop, or you're into nondescript, well-produced music, for 100 quid, these are actually pretty good. The fit's nice, battery life is exceptional, the noise cancelling is really good. So from that perspective, you would probably score it high, right? However, I listen to a lot of metal music, and even putting on things like Bjork, which isn't metal, but has like a swing in the dynamics and the style of music, they struggled quite a bit on that one. I'm maybe not as against the kind of what you would describe as artificial bass sound. It didn't affect me as much, but then again, I wasn't doing direct comparisons to other headphones, so to me it didn't feel like over artificial. I'm going to come in at a 3. I'm feeling generous. I was going to go 2.5, but I'm actually thinking for people that are looking for a low-cost solution that still give you a lot of the benefits of the higher spend, a 3 probably feels about right to me.
Yeah. I'd actually agree with your score. I found like comfort-wise, very good. Battery life, Bluetooth, noise cancelling, the fact you've got a case, all excellent, all for under 100 quid. That's great. The look and the feel, okay, it could be better, maybe a little bit plasticky. The sound is where I found the most kind of inconsistencies with these. They are very heavy in some places and then totally lacking in others. And I listen to such a mixture of styles that it would drive me insane that I just want to stick the headphones on and then be great with whatever I'm listening to. And for me, if I had to tweak each album I'm listening to with the app, that's just I'm not interested in that. Also for me, it just, compared to other headphones, they just sounded a little bit artificial, too kind of processed, but so it wasn't for me overall. But I would agree with you. I think a 3 is ample for these, to be honest. I think there's a lot of positives, a lot of good features. Where it matters for me when I'm listening to, especially I listen to a lot of metal as well, that's where it kind of let it down. So I'm a 3 as well, 3 out of 5.
There we go.
So that's the review on the Anker Q45s. Links below to the product themselves if you want to check them out online. Have a wee look. If you've got them yourself or thinking of buying them, stick your comments, your questions in below. Happy to have a look. That is a review. Thank you for checking out. Much appreciated. We'll be back with another tech review very soon. But until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.